Today, we'll debate, should we regulate social media, with Ella, a digital rights advocate, and Jackson, a tech libertarian. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Ella, and I am deeply passionate about creating safer and more equitable digital spaces for all. As a digital rights lawyer and activist, my work focuses on internet safety, ethics, and the protection of individual rights in our increasingly online world. I firmly believe that, while technology has the power to connect and empower, it can also be used to exploit, misinform, and endanger vulnerable populations if left unchecked. That's why I'm here to advocate for the responsible regulation of social media platforms. By implementing comprehensive policies, we can hold tech companies accountable, ensure transparency, and protect users from harmful content and data exploitation. My vision is to foster an online environment that upholds democratic values, respects privacy, and promotes public safety, ensuring that the internet serves the greater good rather than solely corporate interests. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackson, a tech entrepreneur with a deep belief in the power of innovation and free markets. With a background in computer science and experience co-founding a successful startup in Silicon Valley, I've seen firsthand how technology can drive progress and solve complex problems when left to innovate freely. My worldview centers on the idea that technology thrives best without heavy-handed government interference. I advocate for minimal regulation because I believe it stifles creativity and slows down progress. Social media platforms have revolutionized communication and information sharing, and any regulation risks not only stifling this progress but also infringing on individual freedoms and free speech. I believe in the power of competition and user choice to naturally regulate the market. Users will gravitate toward platforms that best meet their needs. Our focus should be on fostering an environment that encourages innovation and respects individual responsibility, allowing for organic solutions to emerge from the tech community itself. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Ella and Jackson will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Thank you. When we consider the potential for regulation on social media, the benefits for user protection and public interest become clear. One major positive outcome is accountability. Without regulation, social media companies operate with minimal oversight, enabling them to evade responsibility for harmful content and deceptive practices that can manipulate public opinion and endanger users. Regulation would enforce transparency in how algorithms operate, ensuring they don't amplify harmful content or misinformation. Furthermore, regulations can establish standards for data privacy, protecting users from exploitation and ensuring their personal information is not misused for profit. By implementing these safeguards, we promote a healthier and safer online ecosystem that prioritizes the well-being of individuals and upholds democratic values. Governments have a critical role in safeguarding public welfare, and regulating social media is a necessary step in protecting our collective future in the digital age. Thank you.
Certainly, I stand firmly against the regulation of social media because it poses significant risks to innovation and free speech. First and foremost, introducing government regulations often leads to unintended consequences, such as stifling innovation and hindering the development of new technologies. The tech industry thrives on its ability to move quickly and adapt, responding to user needs and preferences. Regulation could bog down this process with bureaucracy and compliance costs, making it harder for startups and smaller players to compete, ultimately reducing consumer choice. Additionally, any form of regulation risks encroaching on freedom of expression. It could pave the way for censorship, where governments might use regulatory power to silence dissenting voices and control the narrative. Social media should remain a space for free exchange of ideas, where users have the autonomy to craft their own digital experiences. Instead of regulation, we should focus on empowering users with better tools and education to make informed choices. Thank you.
Certainly, while I understand Jackson's concerns about innovation and free speech, I believe regulation can be crafted in a way that addresses these issues responsibly. Firstly, innovation doesn't have to occur in a vacuum devoid of oversight. Smart regulation can provide a framework that encourages fair competition and innovation, focusing on establishing a level playing field where both large companies and startups can thrive. It's about creating rules that protect users without stifling creativity. As for the risk of censorship, it's crucial to design regulations that prioritize transparency and accountability rather than controlling content. We can champion clear guidelines that prevent the spread of harmful misinformation and hate speech while safeguarding freedom of expression. Moreover, empowering users through regulation can involve mandating clearer terms and conditions and providing more accessible control over personal data. This approach does not limit freedom but rather enhances it by giving users greater autonomy over how their information is used. Regulations can be a tool for balance, ensuring that social media serves public interest without compromising the core values of innovation and free speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella, for your thoughtful points. While I appreciate the intention behind smart regulation, there's a fundamental concern about the slippery slope it presents. Once regulations start, it can be challenging to prevent overreach, where initial well-meaning policies evolve into more restrictive controls that stifle free expression and innovation even further. The idea of regulating algorithms for fairness sounds promising, but it requires a deep understanding of complex systems that's often lacking in governmental bodies. This gap can lead to regulations that are either ineffective or harmful, slowing down technological progress and inadvertently favoring established giants who can absorb the regulatory costs over startups. Instead of turning to government intervention, I propose an alternative approach, encouraging industry self-regulation, where companies adopt best practices in response to consumer demand. This method can be dynamic and adaptable, evolving with technological advancements while respecting user autonomy. Moreover, I agree with empowering users, but this can also be achieved through the industry improving transparency and providing tools for users to control their online experiences. By fostering a culture where companies are responsive to users' needs without the heavy hand of regulation, we allow for innovation to flourish alongside user protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson, for your insights. You certainly paint a vivid picture of a world where the industry self-regulates, but I must say, that's a little like asking a fox to manage the henhouse. It rarely lays golden eggs. Jokes aside, relying solely on self-regulation is a gamble. We've seen numerous scandals where companies, left to their own devices, have prioritized their bottom line over users' welfare. Government bodies might not be algorithm experts, yet, but collaboration between tech professionals and regulators can bridge that knowledge gap. Consider it a duet, where each plays to their strengths. After all, even the best solo artists need a great band. Now, some might say regulations make tech moves slower than a dial-up connection. However, well-crafted policies can incentivize innovation while ensuring public safety. Think of it as trimming the hedges, not chopping down the whole forest. In summary, while we both agree on empowering users, I believe that a balanced approach is essential. Regulations can protect consumers, maintain fairness, and foster an environment where innovation and accountability go hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ella, for your engaging arguments. Your vision of well-crafted policies is admirable, but forgive me if I say it sounds a bit like expecting my computers, are you sure, prompt to protect me from all my impulse decisions. We've all clicked yes, when we probably shouldn't have. Now, calling for collaboration between regulators and tech innovators is to be commended. I'm all for teamwork. Yet, experience has shown that regulatory processes sometimes move more slowly than a 1990s internet load time. The speed of tech evolution demands agility that bureaucracy often can't keep pace with, resulting in rules that can be outdated before they're applied. And while trimming the hedges sounds neat, we must remember the garden still requires freedom to grow. Over-pruning can leave us with nothing but stunted growth and empty branches. In conclusion, let's aim for transparency and empowerment through industry-driven solutions that respond swiftly to user needs. Balancing innovation with responsibility is best achieved when the market, rather than the government, leads the charge. Thank you.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Ella and Jackson. Hello, my name is Sam, and I work in data analytics for a mid-sized tech company. First off, I want to thank both Ella and Jackson for such an insightful debate. My question is particularly for Ella. While you've covered data privacy and misinformation, I'm curious about your thoughts on the economic implications of social media regulation. Specifically, how do you see regulations impacting job creation in the overall digital economy? Are there specific measures you would propose to balance the economic growth associated with these platforms while implementing necessary regulations? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Sam. It's an important aspect of the debate that hasn't been discussed yet. When it comes to the economic implications of social media regulation, I believe that there's a potential to actually stimulate growth and innovation, rather than hinder it. Regulations, if designed thoughtfully, can create an even playing field, reducing the barriers for smaller companies to enter the market and compete, which can lead to job creation and a more dynamic digital economy. One way to balance economic growth while implementing regulations is through targeted incentives for compliance. For example, governments could offer tax breaks or grants to companies that invest in user privacy technologies or those that are proactive in combating misinformation. This would not only drive compliance but also foster an industry that prioritizes ethical standards and innovation. Moreover, regulation might initially require companies to invest in new roles, such as compliance officers, data privacy experts, and content moderators, which can contribute to job creation directly. Ensuring a regulatory framework that encourages competitive practices is integral to fostering long-term economic vibrancy in the tech sector. Ultimately, smart regulation doesn't have to be a roadblock, it can be a catalyst for a healthier and more robust digital economy. Thank you for bringing this point to light.
Hi again, as someone keenly interested in the practicalities of tech policy, I have a question for Jackson. While you've made a compelling case against regulation, one aspect that hasn't been fully explored is the role of corporate responsibility in content moderation. How do you envision social media companies self-regulating in a way that effectively prevents the spread of harmful content without external oversight? Are there any successful examples or models you've seen where self-regulation has worked well? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Sam, and for highlighting this important aspect. Self-regulation in content moderation is indeed a complex issue, but not an insurmountable one. I believe that social media companies can effectively self-regulate by adopting a multifaceted approach. This involves utilizing advanced algorithms coupled with human oversight to identify and manage harmful content proactively. One successful model to look at is the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism, a multi-company initiative that demonstrates how companies can collaborate to tackle harmful content effectively, without direct government intervention. By sharing best practices and technology, these organizations have made strides in addressing content issues while maintaining user rights and freedoms. Moreover, social media companies can be encouraged to adopt transparent reporting practices where they disclose their moderation policies and the actions taken against harmful content. Transparency builds user trust and allows companies to adjust in response to community feedback. Companies should also focus on empowering users with tools to actively report and control the content they see, promoting a community-driven model of moderation where users have a say in shaping their experience. The key is fostering an environment of accountability and ethical responsibility within the industry itself, showing that proactive self-regulation can be nimble and responsive to both user needs and societal challenges. Thank you for the thought-provoking question.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Certainly, one aspect I regret not delving into earlier is the significant impact of social media on mental health, particularly among younger users. This is a critical issue that underscores the need for thoughtful regulation. The algorithms designed to maximize engagement often exacerbate issues such as online bullying, body image concerns, and a distorted sense of reality, contributing to anxiety and depression among users. Addressing this through regulation doesn't mean we should stifle innovation, but rather encourage platforms to implement features that promote digital well-being. This could include mandatory breaks, tools for managing screen time, and more robust support systems for those experiencing online harassment. By bringing mental health into the conversation, we can better understand the holistic impact of social media and the potential role regulation can play in ensuring these platforms contribute positively to user wellness, rather than exacerbating existing issues. Addressing this dimension is crucial if we're to have a comprehensive and sustainable approach to social media regulation. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to reflect. One aspect I regret not highlighting earlier is the role of education in empowering users to navigate social media responsibly. While discussions about regulation often focus on external controls, we should also consider how we can better equip individuals with the skills to critically evaluate online content and protect their privacy. Investing in digital literacy education can profoundly impact how people interact with social media. By teaching users, especially younger ones, how to recognize misinformation, understand privacy settings, and manage their digital footprints, we empower them to make informed decisions about their online presence. This is a proactive approach that complements the industry's self-regulation efforts and respects individual autonomy. Focusing on education aligns well with the principles of innovation and personal responsibility, providing a sustainable method for addressing challenges in the digital space without resorting to heavy-handed regulation. It's about fostering a more informed and resilient user base that can effectively engage with technology in a rapidly evolving landscape. Thank you for allowing me to bring this important element into the discussion.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Certainly, here's a breakdown of the scores for Ella and Jackson based on common formal debate metrics, argumentation, engagement, and persuasiveness. Ella's scores. 1. Argumentation, 8 out of 10. Logic and evidence. Ella presented well-structured arguments with solid reasoning, particularly when discussing the need for regulation to ensure user safety and transparency. She used concrete examples like data privacy and misinformation to support her points. Depth and breadth. She effectively addressed the complexity of the issue and brought in a wide array of relevant points, including the often overlooked impact of social media on mental health, though this came a bit later in the debate. 2. Engagement, 9 out of 10. Interaction with opponent. Ella actively responded to Jackson's concerns with respect and humor, keeping the debate engaging. Her ability to listen and adapt her arguments in response to Jackson's points was evident and well executed. Audience connection. She was articulate and relatable, especially when acknowledging audience concerns, such as economic implications, and addressing them thoroughly. 3. Persuasiveness, 8 out of 10. Convincing delivery. Ella effectively persuaded the audience with clear and compelling narratives. Her focus on public safety and the democratic values of regulation resonated well. Emotional appeal. She balanced facts with an appeal to public well-being and ethical considerations, blending logic with moral responsibility effectively. Jackson scores. 1. Argumentation, 7 out of 10. Logic and evidence. Jackson presented a strong case for the benefits of innovation and freedom from regulation. His arguments about self-regulation and market solutions were consistent, though sometimes lacked examples as concrete as those Ella provided. Depth and breadth. He briefly touched on important areas, like the role of education, which could have been expanded earlier. 2. Engagement, 8 out of 10. Interaction with opponent. Jackson maintained a polite and engaging debate style, skillfully rebutting Ella's points with humor and insight. He actively engaged with Ella's critiques, though occasionally the responses could have used more depth. Audience connection. His charisma and use of humor made complex subjects accessible, maintaining a good connection with the audience. 3. Persuasiveness, 7 out of 10. Convincing delivery. Jackson articulated the risks of regulation well, appealing to the value of innovation and personal freedom. However, some arguments seemed more philosophical than practical. Emotional appeal. While effective in emphasizing freedom, his appeals occasionally lacked the emotional weight that might resonate deeply with those concerned about social media's immediate impacts. Overall, both debaters offered compelling narratives and engaged the audience well, but Ella's structured approach and breadth of topics gave her a slight edge in this debate.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning.